Hi everyone, and welcome back as I continue my review of Blake 7 selected episodes. This now being obviously season 3, The Harvest of Kairos, and it's another one of those episodes where Servalan is after the Liberator. Yes, battle computers are set and ready as she's about to unleash the Mark 10 pursuit ships on the Liberator that is above a planet, because they can't move because Avon and Villa are on the surface. Tarrant is obviously very suspicious of the results of the scan, and he believes there are 3 pursuit ships out there. And the upshot basically is that Avon and Villa teleport back up, and the Liberator, with Tarrant's initiative, you could say, slips the trap and they get away, much to Servalan's annoyance that this has happened, as she has all these battle computers and analysis and so on, and yet the Liberator slipped the noose. Meanwhile, back on the Liberator, Avon is very excited over a rock he's found. And his enthusiasm for this rock is so overwhelming, it's quite astounding. He gets Zen to analyse it, Aurak to analyse it, even Callie later on. Meanwhile, back with Servalan, she gets wind of one of the labour grades is poking fun in her direction. He's brought up and interviewed by her, and she basically calls him, a real brute and whatnot. But for some reason, Jarvik is given the opportunity to take on the Liberator. And she gives him this acting major rank. Meanwhile, of course, as I said, back on the Liberator, it's now Aurak's time to analyse the rock, and the whole thing is really fascinating for Avon. Jarvik has been given this opportunity because we don't really know, is it because of his animal side of him, has got Servalan going, yeah, go on, you have a go. You think you're smarter than my battle computers, you have a crack at the Liberator. And that's exactly what he does. But he predicts, first of all, the Liberator is heading for the planet Kairos. More precisely, the harvest of Kairos that is taking place down on the surface. But he also predicts that Tarrant is no fool. He's not going to go down to the surface because it's heavily armoured. Tarrant will attack the cargo ship. And he is right. That's exactly what Tarrant is aiming for, to capture the Chiropan aboard the cargo ship. And while all this planning and intrigue is going on, Callie is now subjected to this mind-blowing find by Avon, this mysterious rock, and Callie is very upset by it. And meanwhile, back on the bridge, yes, the attack is now underway by Jarvik. He's launching his attack against the Liberator. It falls under attack. It takes some damage, actually, the Liberator. But Tarrant, being Tarrant, prevails and eliminates all the pursuit ships. Servalan is deeply upset by this. Absolutely upset and furious. But little does she know, all this is nothing more than a diversion. Jarek has already planned out the real operation. And that operation will take place when Tarrant and the rest of the crew dock with the cargo ship. Obviously, Tarrant teleports down and the rest dock with it. And they think they got away stealing the vital cargo. Of course, there's another ruse where they're all rounded up very briefly by some of the crew on the ship. Avon takes them out and said it isn't a very obvious thing that was going to happen, Tarrant, for crying out loud. Anybody could have seen it in his usual offhand way. But Avon missed one thing. Captain Shad and some other crew were in the cargo containers. And they are now on the Liberator. And of course, what happens is they take the Liberator. And Shad teleports in to Space Command to meet Jarek. Captain Shad, turning to President Sutherland, declares the Liberator has been taken and the crew are prisoners, and offers Sutherland to teleport up to the Liberator with him, which she, of course, does. With very little options open to the crew of the Liberator, Sutherland basically takes command with a voice print of her voice given to Zen, and the crew are teleported down to the planet Kairos. Everything's gone splendidly well for Sutherland. So, they're on Kairos, the crew, and time is running out because things start happening on Kairos. The planet starts turning very hostile. So they're all split up into various groups, apart from Avon has gone his way. Callie and Tarrant have already come across something very odd and unpleasant, and they don't like the look of it. And so they're continuing scouting around, and so is everybody else, and they all come face to face with Avon again outside some sort of hangar, who tells them what the heck is that. And Avon is pointing towards what looks like a very, very primitive spaceship of some kind. And so they all go on board it, inspect it, see if it's workable. Avon basically says, I want this thing to be launched. Tarrant says, look, it's got no defences, no armaments, no nothing, and it'll barely reach outer space. But Avon being Avon said, look, I don't care about that, just get this thing up. Can you do it, Tarrant? Of course, Tarrant can. Meanwhile, Sutherland has instructed Jarvik to go and get the rest of the teleport bracelets off the crew. And also basically said to Jarvik, have a man-o-man battle with Tarrant. Very peculiar thing. This. So Jarvik is now down on Kairos hunting around for them, while the crew are repairing this strange primitive ship, and Avon has set up a weird defense mechanism, and he basically tells them about this mysterious rock and what it does, and he's done the same to the mechanics of the ship. Meanwhile, outside, Tarrant and Dana come face to face with Jarvik, who is identified obviously by Tarrant, and they come face to face with one of the local insect life forms, an unpleasant brute. Jarvik basically says, after he's been spotted with a teleport bracelet on him, he just offers this duel with Tarrant. He says, man on man, Tarrant, you know, all this. He has a fight with Tarrant, and he gets the upper hand, and he wins, basically. And he basically tells everybody else to hand over their teleport bracelets. Dana won't do this, and she has a bit of a scuffle with Jarvik. One of the insect life forms approaches them as they're fighting out. Jarvik teleports back up to the Liberator with Dana. Time is running out fast, so Avon and the rest get back into the primitive ship, get it launched because they know that Servalan is going to blast that area of the planet. And so they are up in orbit. They have been picked up by Zen. They're on the viewing screen. Zen identifies this as a sophisticated ship that has incredible armaments and defensive capabilities. Servalan is saying, what? No. You what? No, no. Jarvik is just standing there laughing his head off because he recognises it for what it is. It's not what Zen is saying. And for some reason, Servalan falls for this when Tarrant comes on the viewing screen and says, we want the Liberator back. And if you don't hand it back, we'll blast it out of the sky. And yes, Dana will be collateral damage. And Servalan basically abandons the Liberator. She orders Dana to be killed, but Jarvik gets in the way. He's shot dead. Servalan and Federation cronies teleport to the nearest Federation ship. And Avon and co are now back in control of the Liberator, where he raises Servalan's voice pattern. Erase, should I say. Well, there we have it. That's the end of the episode. So my final thoughts. Well, this episode suffers from some strange continuity errors, which I can't quite work out, because we see Space Command. We assume Servalan's on Space Command, but it looks like she's in a Federation cruiser, because we've seen this interior from the episode before I reviewed. It doesn't make much sense. So let's get past all that. This is another episode where Servalan wants to destroy the Liberator and fails. She gives a Labour class grunt, Jarvik, who was formerly of Federation Command, the opportunity. And he does it by pulling it off a gigantic bluff. He gets all the pursuit ships destroyed. He gets some of the crew intercepted by Avon and taken out by Avon on the cargo ship. So everything looks great for the Liberator crew. But, of course, Captain Shad is in the cargo boxes. They get moved into the Liberator, as we know, and he overcomes the crew and takes the Liberator. This is the only episode, really, that Servalan has won. She's got her hands on the intact Liberator. Why does Servalan abandon the Liberator? We only assume because she doesn't want to die, because she's been taken in by this mighty bluff. It all stems from this rock that Avon's been analysing. It sort of puts up like a distorted mirror image to protect itself. And that's what he programmed into this primitive spacecraft. So this primitive spacecraft looks like a primitive spacecraft, but behind the camouflage, you could say, was a ship with destructive capability. And I just don't understand why Servalan abandoned the Liberator. She had control of it. She could have ordered Zen to fire back at them to call their bluff. It really is crazy. It really is. It just doesn't make much sense. But overall, it's a good romp of an episode. That's the only way I could describe it. A good romp of an episode. And on that note, have a great day. Goodbye.